Hi friends, it's Michelle. Okay, listen, I'm going to be honest. I wasn't ready for this one. This story is about the emotional weight of walking into someone else's family system and feeling like you've stepped into a house where everyone already knows the choreography except for you. And the thing is, we all think that we are prepared for that moment. We really do. We think that. But nothing hits quite like the silent judgment of a holiday table where you're the new girlfriend and everyone is watching to see if you eat the casserole. And today, buckle up because this one gets messy. So let's get into it. Am I the asshole for leaving my in-laws' Christmas dinner after I found out that they didn't make accommodations for me? Okay, immediately my brain said, oh, she walked out on Christmas? And then my other brain, the therapist one said, accommodations, that word has history behind it. I can hear it. So let's keep going. I got invited to my fiance's family Christmas celebratory dinner. It's my first Christmas with them. First Christmas with the in-laws. Oh, that's pressure. That's the pressure. That's the kind of pressure where you tend to look in the mirror and you rehearse your smile in the car. You know what I'm talking about? The thank you so much for having me type of smile that you rehearse in your car on the way over there. And then you're sitting there quietly hoping in your head that no one asks you to carve anything. When you walk into that first holiday, you're not just attending dinner. You're being evaluated for long-term placement. So let's continue to see what she says. I have always been picky about what I eat. It has to do with psychological factors, childhood, personal likes, and dislikes. Okay, see, this sentence tells us that this is about her nervous system, and her nervous system is saying absolutely not, and we respect that. People love to judge picky eating like it's something like immaturity, but actually food and trauma hold hands all of the time. Even if you don't know it, even if you don't see it, it does. They hold hands all the time. Food and control, food and safety, food and childhood conditioning. So let's not pretend this is about being dramatic. She clearly states that it's not. There's some psychological stuff happening behind it. So let's keep reading. Before accepting their invite, I let my future mother-in-law know I wouldn't be eating the traditional food. And I showed her a variety of dishes to choose from. So she gave them options. She came with solutions. She said, pick literally anything from this menu. This menu of, please do not make me suffer. This is not someone trying to be difficult. At least that's not what I'm hearing. This is someone that's trying to be proactive, that's trying to be thoughtful in the situation. So let's continue to read. She refused and told me to bring my own dish. Okay, pause, because my spirit just sat up there. Bring my own dish to Christmas dinner? This is not a friendship, potluck, Friendsgiving type of situation. This is not bring dessert if you want to feel helpful. This is you are a guest, sit down, we've got you. And I don't know about you, but bring your own meal at a holiday, to me, it screams you can come, but adjust to us. Let's keep going because I'm feeling a little bit of some things happening here. I said if I had to bring my own dish when I'm the guest, then I better stay at home then. Oh, I can tell. She meant that with her whole entire chest because this is not about lasagna. This is about hospitality and the emotional meaning of we've made space for you. She's not arguing here about food. What she's arguing here is about belonging. Let's see what else she has to say. We went back and forth. I thought it was a simple request. Future mother-in-law could have agreed if she really wanted me there because that's the truth. Hospitality is not about the food. It's about the message beneath it. One dish, just one simple little dish can say, hey, you matter. You belong. Or it can say, you're a burden. Families, they tend to underestimate how loud silence can be, especially around the holiday season. Let's see what else she had to say. My fiancé agreed that I should bring my own dish, but I didn't. Of course he did. Of friggin' course. This is a man that will probably fold his laundry by tossing it closer to the hamper. This is a man who said, I don't want to get involved. Sweetie, sir, you are involved. Hello, this is your family. You're the partner. This is your dinner. And him saying, just bring your own dish, really what that is code for, please don't make my mother uncomfortable. Let's continue here, okay? When we arrived, I saw no accommodations were made. I got up, got my things, and I walked out. This right here, this is a moment where your heart, it just drops right into your freaking stomach. It's a moment where you realize, oh, they really didn't think about me. Like, not even a little bit, not at all. That moment, it's quiet, it's sharp, and your body, it moves before your brain even has a chance to catch up. People think walking out can be such a dramatic thing, but sometimes it's not about dramatics. It's not about weakness. It's about survival. Let's go on to see what she had to say. My future mother-in-law and fiance were shocked. People who ignore boundaries are always shocked when you enforce them. They are always, always, always shocked when you enforce the boundaries. Let's see what else she had to say. My fiance came home lashing out, calling me selfish and spoiled. Oh no. No, sir, what? You don't get to abandon your partner emotionally and call her spoiled because she wanted to feel included at a table full of people eating food she physically couldn't eat. You don't get to skip the empathy part. Let's keep going because, y'all can see I'm getting heated here. So let's just keep going. He said it was my responsibility to feed myself. I'm sorry, what? Feed yourself at Christmas dinner, a holiday dinner where you were invited to, a table where everyone else was served? That right there is not how a partner is supposed to show up. That's a roommate with romantic privileges. Let's continue to see what she had to say. He said, I started shit and ruined his first Christmas with his family. The deflection is freaking Olympic level here, okay? Instead of acknowledging her, he rewrites the narrative so she becomes the villain. This is classic right here. This is classic. You made me look bad energy that's happening here. Let's continue on to see what she has to say. Now he's saying I should have sucked it up for the family. Aha. That right there is the anthem of emotional neglect. Just suck it up. Stop crying. The literal translation for this is your comfort is optional, but mine, it's mandatory. Let's see what else she had to keep saying. I wasn't asking for several dishes, just one simple option. And here she is. Still, you see this, that she's still trying to justify herself. She's still trying to sound smaller. She's trying to sound softer. She's trying to sound more reasonable. This, to me, sounds like a woman conditioned to explain her pain in a way that makes other people comfortable. And that's the saddest part of this whole freaking story. And that right there, that shows the emotional freaking dam cracks and the truth is spilling out on the page, okay? But before we move on, let's just pause for a moment here, because the way she walked out, that wasn't disrespect. That right there, it was heartbreak. So, okay, now that we've walked through what happened, let's actually talk about the stuff that's underneath it, okay? Because if you're only looking at this like, girl, you walked out of Christmas over a freaking casserole, what the heck? You'll miss the actual wound here. Because this was a crash course in emotional hospitality. It was also an emotional crash course in hierarchy in families. It was an emotional crash course in partners choosing comfort over courage. And it was an emotional crash course in what it feels like when your needs are treated like they're an inconvenience. So let's try to pull this part a little bit, okay? Just piece by piece, gently, but honestly, okay? So number one, this was never about a dish. It was about emotional hospitality. There are two kinds of hospitality. Practical hospitality is plates, there are chairs, the ham in the oven, dinner is at 5, don't be late. And then there's emotional hospitality, okay? That's we thought about you. That's your needs matter here. That's you're not an add-on, you're part of this. That's we actually planned for you to be here with us. So the original poster here, she wasn't asking for a personalized tasting menu. She wasn't like, I only eat hand massaged organic kale. What she was saying here is, hey, this is tough for me. So here are some easy options. What she did there was she took on the emotional labor for them. So when they refused to make even one small, tiny accommodation, the message underneath that for her was, you can attend, but we're not adjusting. And that type of message right there, it hits differently when you're a newcomer, when you're the fiance, when you're the one quietly trying to not be too much already. And here's the hard truth. You can tell a lot about how a family views you by whether they try to feed you, whether they ask what you can eat, whether they notice if you're not eating at all. Because food is love in so many cultures. Food is, we made room for you. So when there's no room, yeah, that hurts deeper than this was a missed side dish. So number 2, the fiance's response is the loudest part of the entire story. Let's be very real here. His mother showed you the house rules. He showed you the relationship rules. So when she asked him for support, this is what she got. Just bring your own dish. It's your responsibility to feed yourself. You started shit. You ruined Christmas. You should have sucked it up. You're selfish and spoiled. And that right there, that's not neutral language. That's not stuck in the middle of this. That's someone who's very clearly taking a side, and that side is not yours. Because he didn't say anything like, let me talk to my mom, or I want you to feel welcomed at my parents' house, or how can I make this easier on you? Like, he maybe even could have made the dish himself. Or saying something like, your feelings matter more to me than tradition. Instead, what he did was he chose his mom's comfort plus zero accountability plus blame shift onto her. And I want you to really, really, really hear this. In moments like this, you're not just seeing how he acts around the holidays. You're seeing how he handles every future conflict where his family, his comfort, or his convenience is on one side and your needs are on the other side. Let's talk about the you should have sucked it up comment that he made, basically saying that your needs inconvenience me. Let's translate his language a little bit, okay? Because when somebody says you should have sucked it up for the family, what they're often saying is, I need you to be uncomfortable so I don't have to be. To him, the problem wasn't the lack of accommodations. The problem wasn't the dismissal of your needs. The problem wasn't the fact that you were already anxious walking in. What the problem was that you didn't go quiet. That you didn't sit through it all and just smile. That you didn't make it easy for him to have a conflict-free Christmas. And that right there, that's not love. That's convenience. And here's the manipulative twist. He focuses on your reaction. You walked out. So he doesn't have to face his inaction, which is, I didn't protect you. So he's more bothered by the fact that people notice the rupture than by the fact that you were hurt. Now let's talk a little bit about the future mother-in-law, because she wasn't just being difficult. She was using power. Why would a future mother-in-law who knows that this is your first Christmas, who also knows that you are trying to make a good first impression, who also knows that you have a legit food issues and gave her options for those food issues, who knows all of these things and still chooses, no, bring your own? Because this isn't about cooking. This is about the family hierarchy. Some families have quiet rules. Rules like, we don't change our traditions. Or rules like, if you're new here, then you adapt. Or rules like, we don't rearrange things for outsiders. Or rules like, respect means going along with what we do. And in those types of systems, the matriarchy's power lives in, this is how we do it. Take it or friggin' leave it. So when the original poster, when she asked for one modification, the future mother-in-law didn't just hear, can you make something else? She heard, change the way we've always done it. Bend your authority. Let a newcomer influence the tradition. And she said, no, heck no. Not because she couldn't, because she wouldn't. And that's a power move, a quiet one, but a power move nonetheless. Let's talk a little bit about her walking out. because that wasn't drama. It was self-protection. And people online and in the comments, they love to say that she overreacted, that she walked out over food. But I'm going to say no. She walked out over being ignored. So imagine this. You've been anxious about this dinner. You've communicated ahead of time. You've offered solutions. Your fiance didn't back you up. And you walk in and you're hoping maybe, just maybe, they changed their mind or they did something for you. And then nothing. Zero accommodations, zero signal that you were thought of. And everyone else around you, they're laughing, they're eating, they're passing plates, and you're just there, empty, on scene. And in that moment, your nervous system, it does not go, oh yes, let's calmly regulate and just sit here and tolerate this. What happens is that your nervous system goes, we are not safe, so get the hell out of here. So walking out wasn't her saying, screw you all, I hate Christmas. It was her body saying, I can't sit at a table where I'm both physically and emotionally expected to freaking starve. So no, that wasn't dramatics. There was a lot more to that than just walking out. Let's talk a little bit about first holidays and how they set the emotional tone for the future, okay? A first Christmas with in-laws is like a trailer for the rest of your life, okay? It quietly answers questions like, will they try to include me? Will my partner stand up for me? Will my needs be considered or will they be dismissed? Do I feel like I'm entering a family or do I feel like I'm applying for a role? And for her, instead of warmth, and instead of welcome, instead of we are so glad you're here, what she got was resistance, was dismissal, was blame, was misalignment with her fiance. And now this will be a story that replays in her body every time another holiday invite comes up. This wasn't just one bad night. This right here, it was a preview, okay? It was a preview. Let's talk a little bit about his reaction afterward. It shows the conflict pattern, not just a one-off type of situation. So let's look at the sequence. She leaves hurt and he comes home and instead of saying something like, talk to me, what was happening inside of your mind, your body, what was going on? Or I can see you were upset. Help me understand why you were so upset. Instead of saying any of that, you know what he did? He hit her with lashing out. He hit her with insults. He hit her with you ruined it. He hit her with you're selfish. He hit her with you're spoiled. And that right there, that's not conflict resolution. That's character assassination. And the danger here is if this is how he responds when she is hurt, she will eventually stop telling him when she's hurt. Not because it stops hurting, because it doesn't, but because it feels safer to suffer quietly than to be attacked for having feelings. Let's shift gears a little bit and let's talk about why it hit so deep for the original poster. Because on paper, this is a food story. But in her body, this was, I am a burden. I am an outsider. My needs make people angry. If I speak up, I cause problems. I should be grateful just to be invited. I can't win. Either I'm hated or I'm hungry. So that right there is not about a casserole. That is about self-worth. That is about belonging. And that's why it hurt the way it did. Okay. Take a breath with me. Let's dive in a little bit more because this is where we drop into nuance, okay? I'm going to say something that might surprise you. Before I slowed it down, before I put my therapist hat fully on, before I sat with her nervous system instead of just with her behavior, my first human reaction was, girl, you walked out of Christmas dinner over food? Like, what? Like, if you read it fast, skimming in line at Target, it absolutely sounds like she should have brought her own frigging dish. She could have eaten before, or she could have just sat and socialized, or she could have just been the bigger person, or she could have just tried to avoid the drama. All of that was my very first initial skimming type of reaction. And that it's a valid surface level take on the situation. It really friggin' is. And I'm not going to sit here and gaslight you and pretend like it's not. Because here's the thing, human reactions are rarely logical when you don't feel emotionally safe. Her body didn't care about Christmas tradition. It cared about, do I belong. It cared about, am I seen? It cared about, am I safe? It cared about, am I being quietly humiliated at this table? And when all of those answers felt like no to her, her body, it chose the friggin' door. So let's talk directly to her for a second. Hey friend, what happened that night wasn't really about being picky, not at all. It wasn't about you being dramatic. It wasn't even about the one dish. It was about that moment where you realized they didn't think of me. They didn't make room for me. I came all of this way and they didn't meet me halfway. And that heartbreak, that sinking feeling where your chest feels hollow and your stomach, it drops, that's not entitlement. That's the grief of wanting a family to choose you and seeing that they didn't. And you didn't walk out because you're spoiled. You walked out because staying would have required you to abandon yourself. And I want you to really hear this. You didn't ruin Christmas. You reacted to being left out. And I want to come back and tell you all this. Food is not just food. Food is, I remembered you. I planned for you. I care about how you feel in this space. Food is, you are not an afterthought. In the holiday time, it amplifies all of that 10 times over. And when you show up, having communicated ahead of time, and you see that everyone else has a plate that works for them, that everyone else was considered, and when you see that you were the only one that's been left out, it doesn't hit like, oh damn, there's no options for me. It hits like, I'm here physically, but I don't belong emotionally. And that right there, that's the pain, not the hunger, not the food. That's the pain of being the only one unconsidered. And I want to give a little message to the fiancé. If I could talk to him, I would say this. Partnership is not, don't start drama with my mom. Please make it easier for me. Please just tolerate being uncomfortable. What partnership is if you're not okay, I'm not okay. Partnership is, your needs matter to me, even if my family does not get it. Partnership is, I will sit in discomfort to protect you. And that doesn't mean that you have to agree with the intensity of her reaction to still validate the pain underneath it. You could have talked to your mom ahead of time. You could have helped brainstorm a solution. You could have backed her up when she said she needed accommodations. You could have left with her when she walked out. Or you could have come home and said, I'm upset, but I know you're hurting, so let's talk about it. Instead, what you did was you punished her for not abandoning herself. And that's not partnership. That's self-protection for you, not for her. And you don't have to think or believe that she handled it perfectly. But you do have to own that you left her alone in a moment where you were supposed to have her back. So let's talk a little bit about what healthy partnership would have looked like here, okay? Healthy couples don't navigate this without attention, okay? But they do navigate it with care. So it sounds like, I hear you. I know food is a big deal for you. It sounds like your comfort matters to me. It sounds like, let's talk to my mom, because you're not going to be the bad guy here. It sounds like if they can't accommodate, then we'll make our own plans. It sounds like if you're not okay there, then we don't stay. Do you hear that? The validation? Do you notice that none of that requires him to villainize his mom? It just requires him to prioritize his partner's feelings. That's it. And what she needed that night was not some type of miracle menu. What she needed was a hand under the table squeezing and saying back to her, you are not alone in this room. And the truth about her walking out from an outside perspective, it's so easy to say she should have stayed and sucked it up. But from inside her body, it probably felt like, if I say I'm choosing to be humiliated while everyone watches me pretend that I am fine. And there is a specific kind of loneliness that hits when you're surrounded by people, when everyone else is relaxed, when everyone else has what they need, and when you're silently suffering in plain friggin' sight. And that's not being dramatic. That's your nervous system screaming, we do not belong here. So what did she do? She left. And she left not to perform, but she left to escape. Because overwhelmed people don't always cry where you can see it. Sometimes they just quietly grab their coat and exit the situation. And I don't want her walking away with feeling I'm crazy, with feeling I'm too much, with feeling I ruined everything, with feeling I should have just eaten at home and shut the heck up. No, I do not want her to walk away with feeling these things. Here's what I want her to take instead. You deserve emotional hospitality. Not just there's a chair for you, but there's thoughtful care for you. You deserve a partner who advocates for you, not against you, especially when you're the vulnerable one entering into their world. And you are allowed to have needs. Needing the food that works for you is not selfish, it's human. You are allowed to feel hurt when your needs are dismissed. That doesn't make you spoiled. It makes you aware. And you are not obligated to stay in spaces where you feel unseen just to keep other people comfortable. And what this original poster doesn't deserve, she does not deserve to be called selfish. She does not deserve to be called spoiled. She does not deserve to be blamed for ruining Christmas. She does not deserve to be attacked for having boundaries. She does not deserve to emotionally abandon herself. She does not deserve to be emotionally abandoned by her partner. And she does not deserve to be treated as if her needs are an inconvenience. Because that's not love. That's a demand for compliance. And you deserve more than compliance. You deserve care. So holidays, they don't just reveal who we are. They reveal who people are to us. They quietly show us who defends us, who dismisses us, who makes space for us, who expects us to fold, who labels our boundaries as drama, who is safe to build a life with, and who only loves us when we're easy. So if you ever sat at a table where your needs were ignored, where your presence felt like a burden, where your discomfort was invisible, or where you were told to just suck it up for the sake of peace, I want you to hear this. You are allowed to leave the table. You are allowed to choose your dignity over their comfort. You are allowed to say, if I have to disappear to belong here, then this is not my place. Home is not just a house. It's not just a decorated table. It's not matching pajamas on Christmas Eve. Home is the people who think of you, the people who make room for you, the people who care about how you feel, the people who adjust when you're struggling, and the people who don't punish you for having needs. And if someone refuses to ever make space for you, if your needs are always too much, if your comfort never makes the priority list, then that is not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their capacity. And you deserve people who are glad you're there, not irritated that you are not easier. And if they won't sit a plate for you, it was never your table to begin with. So thank you for sitting with this story with me. And if this touched a nerve for you, you're not alone. I'm sending you so much love, especially if the holidays are complicated where you come from. I'll see you on the next story.